Hi. Welcome to the Movie Master. Today I am going to explain a London musical fantasy comedy drama film called Matilda the Musical. When Mrs. Wormwood finds out she is pregnant and in labor, she is devastated while other parents cherish their brand new babies. She has a girl, Matilda, much to Mr. Wormwood's consternation. Despite her parents' disapproval, Matilda develops into a sweet young girl who enjoys reading and goes to the librarian every day. When Miss Jennifer Honey and an inspector arrive at the home and learn that Matilda has not been properly educated, they recommend that Matilda be sent to Crunchem Hall. Mr. Wormwood makes a false accusation about Matilda to the headmistress, Miss Agatha Trunchbull, since he is upset over receiving a fine for failing to enroll Matilda in time. Matilda blackmails him into turning his hair green as retribution. Matilda shares her tale of an escapologist who marries an acrobat with Mrs. Phelps on the way to school. When the school bell rings, Matilda becomes friends with Lavender, a new student. The prefects instill in them a terror of Miss Trunchbull and the school. Matilda reveals that she prefers reading above other activities in Miss Honey's class as she answers a challenging math problem on the board. Matilda is not allowed to be an exception to the rules, despite Miss Honey's attempts to persuade Miss Trunchbull to transfer her to a more challenging class. When Matilda chastises her father at home, he violently tears apart her library book and sends her to her room. She adheres his cap to his head with glue in the morning. When Nigel is unfairly punished at school, Matilda joins the students in defending him, but Miss Trunchbull instead throws Amanda Thripp by her pigtail braids over the fence. The following day, Bruce Bogtrotter admits he is the guilty party by belching a chocolatey belch, despite Miss Trunchbull's bogus accusation that Matilda stole a piece of her personal chocolate cake. Miss Trunchbull makes Bruce eat the entire cake as a kind of punishment, promising to pardon him if he succeeds. Miss Trunchbull sends him to the chokey despite her rage at his success. For Mrs. Phelps, Matilda tells the tale of the pregnant acrobat who was made to perform a risky stunt by her stepsister. The acrobat suffers terrible injuries and passes away shortly after giving birth to a daughter. The stepsister is covertly bullied by the escapologist, who asks her to help him raise his daughter after forgiving her. Mr. Wormwood locks Matilda in her room at home after she criticized his tactics for getting people to buy his cars. The escapologist arrives home early and finds out his daughter is being mistreated, but he never returns from confronting the stepsister. The aunt locks the girl in the cellar and leaves, and Matilda closes her story. Miss Trunchbull subjects the kids to difficult exercises in an effort to quell their rebellious nature. Lavender slips her pet newt Isaac into Miss Trunchbull's drinking water, and Matilda furiously uses her newly discovered telekinesis to toss Isaac down Miss Trunchbull's shirt. Matilda is invited to tea by Miss Honey at her cottage. The escapologist and the acrobat are Miss Honey's parents, the cruel stepsister is Miss Trunchbull, and Matilda discovers that her tale is true there. After leaving the cottage, Matilda utilizes her abilities to eliminate the chokey. Matilda learns at home that her father has unknowingly defrauded mafia members, forcing the family to flee to Spain. In her chamber, Matilda sobs over the prospect of never seeing Miss Honey, Mrs. Phelps, or Lavender again. Miss Trunchbull forces the kids to spell words correctly or they'll get locked in a new chokey when they go to school. She instructs Lavender to spell a made-up term while deceiving the other kids into deliberately spelling words inaccurately in order to put them all in chokeys. But Matilda pretends to be the vengeful ghost of Miss Honey's father, Magnus Honey, using her telekinesis. She uses him to smash all of her new chokeys before grabbing hold of her and throwing her out of the building, much like Trunchbull did with Thripp. Miss Honey hands the keys to her father's house back and instructs Miss Trunchbull never to come again. The kids demolish Trunchbull's monument as they celebrate their liberation. Miss Honey begs Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood to let Matilda stay with her instead of taking her to Spain when they arrive to do so. They consent to Miss Honey adopting Matilda, and Matilda uses her abilities to remove the glue from her father's hat. The kids rename the institution the Big Friendly School with Miss Honey as the new head teacher. Mrs. Phelps is overjoyed that Matilda's real-life story has a happy conclusion and that Matilda and Miss Honey have a successful relationship.